Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 7:02 p.m. Welcome to tonight's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and public may participate in the public hearing of March 3rd, 2025. All participants will be able to speak when called upon. At this time, I would like to explain the procedures to be followed during the meeting. The Commission has both a consent agenda and an agenda for consideration of individual items. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-contested. Item number 1, citizen comments, provides the opportunity for members of the public to address the Commission on items that are listed on the consent agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and the Secretary will let you know when 1 minute is left. For all plats and plans conditionally approved or disapproved by the Commission, the applicant will be provided a written statement of the conditions for the conditional approval or the reasons for disapproval at the end of the meeting. These conditions and reasons are not arbitrary. They are directly related to the requirements of Local Government Code Chapter 212 and include citations to the law that is the basis for the conditional approval or disapproval. For individual consideration items, I will call the applicant or his or her representative to present the case. The applicant will have up to 5 minutes to present the case, which includes all persons representing the application. Then those wishing to speak in favor and those wishing to speak in opposition will have up to 5 minutes each to present his or her comments. Prior to speaking, please give your name and address. Remember to speak directly into the microphone, as this hearing is recorded for public record. Any handouts you wish to provide should be given to staff. Please do not approach the Commission. The next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, or the regular meeting, will be Monday, April 7th, 2025. The next item on our agenda, citizen comments on items listed on the consent agenda. April, has anyone signed up to speak on any item on the consent agenda?
No one signed up. Please proceed.
Okay. Secretary Merrick, would you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Yes. For approvals, we have the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of Monday, February 3rd, 2025. We also have the following 3 plats. 2024-125-PL, Fun and Furious Addition, replat located at 8505 Walton Boulevard. 2025-4-PL, Freeport Industrial Addition, final plat located at 8480 Esters Boulevard. 2025-42-PL, Avalon Luxury Villas, final plat located at 8001 Mustang Drive.
Thank you. Do we have a motion recommending, or a motion for approval of the items on the consent agenda for approval?
So moved. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Please vote. Commissioner Reyes is not here. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, then we move on to the consent agenda for disapproval.
For disapproval, we have 1, 2025-43-PL, Hardesty Revised Edition, replat, located at 103 East Pioneer Drive.
Do we have a motion for disapproval of item number 6 for the reasons set forth in the staff memo?
I'll make a motion for disapproval of 2025-43PL. Second.
And that's based on the reasons of the staff memo?
Based upon the reasons of the staff memo. Yes, sir. Second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second for disapproval. Please vote. And the motion passed unanimously. We'll move on to the individual items. Item number 7, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2024-446-CP, located at 4216 South Greenview Drive. Is the applicant present? And I know this has a companion case. Do you want to address them at the same time?
Yes, I would. I'd like to be able to reserve the time for both for this presentation.
All right.
Chairman Skinner, I'm Jim Dewey with JDJR Engineers, 2500 Texas Drive, Suite 100, Irving, Texas. I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner who would like to construct what I call an office warehouse or a business with storage on this property. And before I get started, I want to hand out something you can refer to. This is a map showing something that the chairman asked during the presentation by the staff. This map gives you an indication of the property. It might be hard to see for those in the audience, but the property in question is the green one right here.
Can you move the microphone over a little bit? Great, thank you.
Yes, the property in question is the green site right here. The red is the areas in that general vicinity that the DFW Airport owns. The green parcels are still under private ownership. All of those properties do have some type of business or residence going on at this time. The one at the northwest corner, that larger green, that's a church that's been there for many years. It's a very active church, doing well. Not sure about all the other businesses, but the property in question, my client bought, who has done many developments along 161, mostly residential, but has done some commercial developments recently, would like to build what is shown on the companion case, the zoning case. So first of all, I'd like to kind of address some of the staff concerns. One of the concerns is about DFW Airport.
Sorry, can you move the microphone back over?
Is about DFW Airport. The airport never opposes anything that's not, they only oppose residential. They were notified. They own several of the tracks within 200 feet. No, they did not respond because they do not have any opposition to non-residential or commercial development. Staff also is concerned about what DFW's plans may be for this area. Looking at this exhibit I brought, you can see on the left side, all of those big white boxes are what I call warehouses. They're huge, large warehouses over there within the airport property. And on the east side, the staff has stated that warehouse is not allowed. The two tracks that I put in white to kind of represent something similar to these uses were approved by the city council for the same use we're asking for within the last year and a half. So I'm not sure that the council's vision here is exactly aligning with the staff. The other issue, as I said, this use would not be compatible. Well, right now there's nothing around us. And I do believe that if the airport has plans to develop this, I have not spoken with them, I think it would be similar development to what's been going on in so much as catering to businesses that have airport-related business, maybe serve or provide parts, or this would provide a smaller user than those larger ones within the airport. This one here, they've submitted for a building permit. They're hoping to get under construction with, the only thing we're waiting on is a TxDOT permit for sidewalks. That property is going to be an epic stone. They have a facility in Dallas. They sell slabs of granite, marble, travertine, all different types of stone for commercial and residential use. It's a great company we got. Same type of use there. They have offices and they store product there. They do receive product. Of course, they ship it out with individual contractors who install the stone. This tract up here was approved for a spec warehouse, about the same size as this one, is actually a little larger, but exact same use. Very limited overhead doors, very limited dock height things. It's really more of a business with storage. And then this I'd like to show you first. The same developer owner that is requesting this change tonight developed these three small warehouses right here. One of them has Otis Elevator, one of them has Kevco Electric, that's a larger commercial electrical contractor. These are the type of buildings, the same type of thing as we're proposing here. I don't really consider it a warehouse. This is what one of those buildings look like. They all have the same style architecture. They look like an office from the road. Each one of those do have two dock-high doors in the back as well as on-grade doors. I'm not sure that any of these actually use the dock-high doors. I know Kevco doesn't use it very often. They simply store product in there for their crews to go out and install electrical wiring, products and stuff. They just have space so they can have the products there ready for their crews to go out. Otis Elevators, I think, does the same thing. It's more of a repair shop, and I do believe they do some kind of training there as well. This is what we're proposing. We're not proposing the large warehouses with dock doors all the way across. These type of buildings. The one we're proposing is twice as big as the one you're looking at here, so it is a little larger. Okay. The other issue I'd like to bring up is about the variances. The Epic Stone property that I showed you here that's fixing to be under construction, we requested the same variances. By moving the building forward, we eliminate any parking in front of the building. It's a much cleaner look, no parking from the highway. All you see is a building facade. On that particular project, the staff was insistent that we try to make it look more office-like instead of warehouse-oriented, which they agreed to do, which had a lot of windows on that side. We're willing to do the same thing. To me, this does look like an office. This is the look that would be acceptable, I think, to the staff. And then the other thing I'd like to address is about the infrastructure not being adequate. As you can see, there's a few property owners here that depend on the infrastructure to operate their businesses or their properties. This type of business we're proposing won't use any more sewer, water than a typical residence. They'll have 2 bathrooms, probably a break room. It'll probably be somewhere around 20 to 25% office at the most, and the rest is simply storage to run their business. And so the water and sewer aspect of the infrastructure is completely sufficient to supply our needs. Now, going to the other thing about infrastructure, the roadway, because there's very few properties in use out there, the city doesn't have a lot of reason to spend a lot of money and maintain those roads, and they're not in the best of shape, nor do they really want to spend a lot of money out there to keep those roads. We wanted to have access from Greenview as a second point of access, not for trucks. We think the trucks will all come from 161. There's no reason for trucks to come off the highway, go back around either Rochelle or Northgate to Esther's, come in Greenview. They'd be coming, if you looked at our site plan, they're coming opposite to the way that a truck would need to maneuver to get into the dock, should they even need a truck with a dock. Everything on our site plan was set up so that all trucks would access from 161.
1 minute remaining.
But the staff was insistent that we could not use Greenview for a public roadway, even though it is a public roadway. So we did agree to gate that driveway. The reason we wanted to keep it is, I know the fire department always would prefer to have more than one point of access to a building, should something be wrong. So although we have a driveway onto Greenview, it's permanently gated, will only be used for emergency services, fire, police, maybe ambulance. So we wish we could have access to Greenview, more so for employees or people working there would have another way to get there, but we can make it work like we've presented it in the zoning case. So I'm a little bit puzzled as to why the staff can't support this use. My guess is, I don't think DFW is going to own that land forever and never do anything. They haven't shown that with all the rest of their land, and it's developed so quickly. I have no real idea if it would be in the near future or some time away. But either way, I do think if they were to develop it, it would be similar uses than what we're proposing. Maybe a little larger scale. You can see that, this tract right here is fairly large. They could take one of these big buildings and pop it over there. Here, this would be smaller users. They could put a larger building there, but maybe that's a good place for this type of use, for smaller users, not the large, very large type users. Or the airport does nothing. If they do nothing,
Are you
why are
about
we?
done? I think your time's up, so.
Well, I was hoping to use both.
I think that was including both times.
That
Yeah,
was
I think
10
you-
minutes?
You got the whole 10 minutes.
Ooh, I should have gone a lot faster. I will wrap this up.
Okay, thank you.
If the airport doesn't develop for many years, why keep these people who own viable properties from developing a use that seems to be appropriate? 2 other uses similar have been approved recently on the east side of 161. It'll generate jobs, tax base, and we feel like this is an appropriate use. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you have regarding this request.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners for the applicant?
What would it be the square footage of the building you're proposing?
I believe it's 22,000 square feet.
And how many miles are from that site to the next manufacturing or warehouse facility up north?
Well, again, if I can refer to this map. The closest one that has been approved.
Can
is
you
this
speak
one
into
right
the
here.
microphone, Mr. Dewey, please?
The closest one that's been recently approved is this one right here. That's the Epic Stone facility. This property already does have a driveway from 161. I think that's another reason that this one makes a little more sense in that we do have access to 161. We don't have to rely on Greenview. So the city's concern about maintaining infrastructure doesn't really apply maybe to this lot in terms of the roadway.
Mr. Dewey, I had a question. So the city staff in their presentation did mention concern about this was developed originally, I think, with residential infrastructure and having this kind of development, it wouldn't be suited, whether it's the water or the electricity, it's not compatible. Can you respond to that? I mean, there may be a difference of opinion, but do you have anything specific about how it would be suitable?
This is a very, very old neighborhood. I'm not even sure when it was originally created. It was a long time ago, probably at least 50 years ago. And I think it was predominantly all residential. But as the airport expanded, when they came in and expanded for that runway, this was in the buyout. The airport came in and tried to buy all these properties. I don't know what happened to the 1, 2, 3, 7 that are still there. I guess they didn't negotiate or didn't agree, but they're still there. That house was approved for zoning. The existing zoning is for a residence, but a greenhouse nursery. My understanding is that person ran a greenhouse kind of nursery and people could come and buy plants during the right time of the year. As far as compatibility, I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't really think that since across the street is more industrial, you've got the large equipment companies across the highway, you've got, I don't really, the staff said they see this developing maybe more as a office building. I don't see that happening really in the near future based that it's solely surrounded by the airport property.
Thank you.
So basically what you're building is a flex warehouse.
Well, we believe it's going to be one tenant. It's
The,
being designed for one tenant.
the drainage and everything, I assume you'll bring out to 161?
You know, I'm not really sure, but we will have to comply with all the drainage ordinance and drainage requirements of the city of Irving.
Okay, and a question for staff. Does impact fees apply to this as far as the infrastructure and everything else?
Yes, impact fees would apply.
Okay, so that should address some of the infrastructure upgrades.
Let me qualify that as assuming it's after April, because Aprils are 1 year for the platted properties. So it depends on when their building permit is pulled.
And the reason the owner believes it's best suited for a single tenant, those smaller ones that he built right across 161 are 10,000 square feet. He designed all of those for two tenants in case, so he could do smaller ones or bigger ones. Most of the interest he had, those weren't big enough for the users that were interested in this area. They preferred larger buildings. He was able to find Otis Elevators, Kevco Electrical. They took each building, and those are all single occupant buildings.
I think that the east of the church, the two green lots there, the one in the middle that's skinny, I think is a trailer park. So there's some residential there, and the one that's sort of a odd, upside down L, backwards L, that's even further east, looks like crane storage to me, so.
Yes, I don't think those properties would be better off being redeveloped and look a little better, to be honest with you. And that's what we're wanting to do here. The house that's on there, the owner actually did some remodeling and uses it occasionally. Not sure this is really within the zoning, but he kind of offices out of there, but not all the time, but that's what he uses it for currently. He doesn't do any storage on the property, or he just uses it in an office when he needs a place to meet with people.
Is the Epic building, Jocelyn, the one that is at 2751 North State Highway 161?
Is the what building? I'm sorry.
The Epic stone that's further up in white that Mr. Dewey's talking about?
It's the one, I think it's a little further off. It's next to, it's a little further up 161, right, Jim? It's next to,
It's this one right
It's that
here.
one, is that
It's at
27?
Esther's and Block.
okay, I was thinking it was one near the zero lot line.
But
so-
do you think that address was 2751 North State Highway 161? Because I was going back to look at how the staff had,
Well, if I remember right, and please correct me, Jocelyn, if I'm wrong,
I think it was.
staff was
hardship.
able, I think, maybe to be a little more supportive because that ended up being classified as
It was a building materials. It was
home,
more
building
commercial.
materials supply, building materials supply.
I think that's the one that if it's case ZZ 23-0008, your recommendation was hardship, no hardship was evident.
Right, so they were zoned CC, community commercial, and
Right.
so their product, because the public goes to their site to pick out their slabs, was considered more building materials, and so they needed a variance from setbacks, I believe. That's why it was a zoning case.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I understand we don't have a particular client in mind yet, tenant, but a tenant could possibly be the same type of classification. They could sell building-related materials. You can come there, pick it out. We just don't really know, but he wants to build this building. If we can get the zoning approved, start marketing it, build the building, and let somebody use it.
Any other questions for the applicant? No, sir. Great, thank you. All right, Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
I'd like to make one comment. I would have to agree with Mr. Dewey. I'm a little bit confused. I understand development, but if the airport bought out all the houses at one point to put in the runway, I don't see houses being built back in that area. It's going to be some sort of commercial, et cetera, if anything's going to be done to that area. Not unless they shut the runway down and start selling the houses.
Well, I mean, do you want to ask Mr. Dewey a question about that? Just-
What's your opinion
If I
on that?
can, what I'd like to say is, if the airport buys out residential property by federal law, it can never be developed residential again, if federal funds were used to buy it. So there will never be residential on this property.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion, or do we have a motion?
Well, I'll just make one more comment. I think this is a tough case. I would lean on the staff's recommendation, and because of they're more familiar with the infrastructure that's in place there. It might be helpful to city council when they consider this to have more specific information about the impacts and, whether or not this use really is incompatible, because that's what I'm struggling with, is it really incompatible? Because otherwise, I'm not sure what else this parcel is going to be used for. But at this time, I'm struggling to support the case.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to comprehensive planned amendment, first one, 2024-446-CP, be moved to city council for approval.
And do we have a second? Well, I'll second that motion.
I'll take it back.
You want to remove it? You don't have to. I seconded it. We get to vote on
Okay,
it.
okay, we'll do it then.
It sounds like it'll lose, but yeah, so you didn't get anybody else to second it. All right. Please vote. And the motion fails. All right. Does that mean it goes with the denial
No,
recommendation?
we need a motion.
But if it was a positive motion and it failed, doesn't that mean it comes with a recommendation of denial?
You'll need a affirmative motion.
I'd like to make a motion. I would move to, if this is possible, I'd like to move to recommend disapproval of amendment, comprehensive plan amendment 2024-446 CP, but with,
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I'm-
we voted on approval and it failed.
and it didn't pass.
So he's making a motion for some sort of disapproval.
Right. But with the recommendation that the city consider the impacts in more detail. So I would recommend disapproval, but that they consider the impacts in more detail.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending disapproval. Please vote. And the motion passes. And so now we're on the companion case, zoning case 2024-429-ZC. Mr. Dewey, I assume you used up your time. You're good, great. Is anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No, then I'll return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
Well, I'd like to make a similar motion for the zoning case 2024-429-ZC for disapproval, but with the recommendation that the city consider the impacts of this zoning request.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending disapproval. Please vote. And the motion passes 5-2. All right. Now we are on to item number 9. Conditional use permit 2024-449-CUP located at 116, 120, and 124 Strickland Plaza. Is the applicant present? Right. All right. You state your name and address.
Joe, Joe Goldsmith, 405 Hanover Lane, Irving, Texas, 75062.
Great, thank you. And would you like to present anything further on this case?
No, I think y'all, this is a softball for y'all.
Okay. Confidence.
But you're open to any questions we might have?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yeah.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
So, I had a question. How were you allowed to park cars as outside storage if it wasn't allowed by the zoning?
The property's vacant right now.
Right.
There's no cars being parked there right now. It's vacant.
Oh, it is vacant?
Yeah.
I think for the aerial pictures, I saw some vehicles there.
Maybe at one time, but right now there's no cars there. There's the track to the north, and we're going to lease it to him, and then he's going to park his cars. But right now there's no cars there.
And how long have you owned it?
Well, he's owned it 20 years, 25 years, long time.
And then when referring cars, trucks, boats, trailers, there's nothing parked there?
No, there's no cars there, no.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? And I'll return it to the commissioners for discussion and a motion. And this is the one where y'all recommended the 5 years on the CUP? Yes. Yeah.
If there's no other further discussion from staff, conditional use permit 2024-449-CUP for a term of 5 years recommended to City Council for approval. I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a second. Recommending approval of the CUP with a 5-year limit that have been proposed by staff. Please vote. There we go. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, on to item number 10, Development Plan 2025-46-DVP, located at 8350 North MacArthur Boulevard. Is the applicant present? Sir. And your case has two parts to it.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to speak about both of them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, great.
This is my first time. My name is Ashok, and I live at 832 Prescott Lane, Coppell, Texas. We would like to open a sports entertainment restaurant with bar, and we would like your support in this matter. If there are any questions, I would like to go ahead and answer.
Okay. Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? No, it doesn't look like it. Thank you. All right, anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return to the commissioners for discussion and a vote, or an motion. And this one, the development plan is a final action by us. It'll be the second one is a recommendation.
If no further comments on development plan 2025-46-DVP, I'll recommend for approval for City Council.
I'll second.
And it's for final action by the Planning and Zoning Commission, so it would be for approval.
For approval.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for approval, final action. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. And then the second part of it is item 11, zoning case 2025-2-ZC, again at 8350 North MacArthur Boulevard. Sir, did you want to say anything else? Okay, thank you. Anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? All right, then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a vote or a motion on a recommendation.
So for zoning case -2025-2-ZZ, I'll make a motion recommending approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Item number 12, zoning case 2025-11-ZC, located at 2705 North Beltline Road. Is the applicant present? Yes.
Good evening, Chairman Skinner, Commissioners, Ms. Murphy and Mr. Bloom and staff, Sharon Barbosa Crane, 2608 Allendale, Irving, representing the owner and applicant in zoning case 2511. This is a property located at 2705 North Beltline Road, and its current zoning is SP1 for CN. The requested zoning is straight zoning for CN. It's just over half an acre. It's the former home of the now demolished, or I beg your pardon, of the now closed Boston Market Restaurant. It is recommended for future land use map designation of local commercial. There is no change being requested by this zoning case. It is suitable for continuing as a CN property, simply as straight zoning instead of a site plan. Reason being is that the site plan requires the building as it is, of course, but this new owner does not wish to continue in the old Boston Market building, but intends to build a new building for the Pollo Campero. Pollo Campero is an international restaurant chain, fast food and casual dining. It is chicken with a twist and is present in other areas of the United States and quite a few areas in Central and South America. The surrounding areas of this commercial area are all compatible with this use, which is a continuation of the former use. On the north, we have CN, and there's a restaurant there. On the south, we have CC, and there's retail and restaurant there. On the east, we have RAB, which is a restaurant with alcoholic beverage. And on the west, we have CC with retail. There are no variances to this request, therefore we are doing straight zoning, and that's why you have no site plan except for an illustrative plan of what a building would likely appear to once it is built. Now, we don't have any objections. Staff has recommended approval, and there are no objections from any of the departments, but two of the departments did make a note for us, and I know you all read it, so I want to make sure that I cover that for you. One was the fire department, who pointed out the type of fire protection that is required around a building like this, which of course existed in the, for the previous business that was there. And then secondly, CIP stated that it would probably be an issue that there would be some detention there. Neither of these is a zoning matter, but it was mentioned for your information and our information in our technical review letter, and of course that will be taken care of in the permitting phase because this property is platted. So this is net gain for everybody. We get rid of an old building and a closed business for a new building and an open business. No changes, no variances, no complaints, no issues that are identified for anyone to take care of, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions you might have, and we respectfully request your recommendation of approval.
Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if none of the commissioners have any questions, I'd like to make a motion. Zoning case 2025-11-ZC be forwarded to City Council with approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Right, item number 13, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2025-45-CP, located at 1660 Northwest Ridge Circle. The applicant present, I assume.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I am Andrew Ruig with Master Plan Land Use Consultants, 2201 Main Street, Suite 1280, Dallas, Texas. Here representing the Welcome Group. I believe I have a presentation, and I see it on my end, but not up here.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, perfect, thank you. Just a quick overview on the Welcome Group and the two comparison zoning cases. I'll speak to both of these cases as I'm up here. Welcome Group's based out of Houston, Texas. They have several build-to-suit flex warehousing properties throughout Texas and really throughout the southeast United States. So this is kind of their specialty, is these flex warehouse spaces, which is part of this request that we're here today. The two-part request, which I'll get into here shortly, is to change future land use map to manufacturing warehouse and rezone only the north half of the property to ML20A. So we're partially zoned as ML20A currently. Here's a couple pictures of the existing site. A little background on this existing building. The Welcome Group purchased this back in 2016. This was, the tenant of this space was Molina Healthcare. They occupied this from about 2016. Their lease ended 2024, but they haven't really been using this space since the COVID pandemic. The office, the site has been primarily vacant for certainly the past year, but very, very, very light use post-pandemic. So the office component has obviously not been as successful at this particular location. What we are proposing, which I'll flip over here, and you saw this slide, but I also wanted to highlight this. You saw the slide from staff. Is this area where you can see the star on the screen is where our site is located, is potentially pegged for manufacturing warehouse in the future, and looking at the zoning and the existing land uses surrounding this site in particular, there's a lot of existing warehouse buildings. I think the manufacturing component is not really seen here, and that's not what we're proposing. If you look east of this site, that's certainly, and I'll flip over to the zoning map, east of this site is certainly where it transitions to a much heavier office component. But if you look at our highlighted outline of our site, all the blue is existing ML20, and the site just kind of northwest of us was the recently rezoned site to ML20 back in 2023. And then as you look, to the east is the CO commercial office. So we are partially zoned for the proposed, flex warehousing piece currently. Here's just a quick look at the site plan. So we are proposing to completely redevelop the site. So we would be removing the existing office structure. Again, it's kind of outlived its usability and leasability in this particular location. They're actively marketing this site, but they haven't had any real suitors in over a year for the office component by itself. I may have, yes, one other piece that I just wanted to bring up with this. I heard some comments in the work session about kind of the look and feel of this site, and we do have a rendering of the proposed site. The look and feel really doesn't change all that much. It still has, the required landscaping on the street frontage. You still have, it almost looks similar to the existing building that's out there right now. What this does to redevelop the site is adds this flex warehouse component. So we could have a single tenant or tenants occupy this space, and they're allowed, then they would have the ability to do the warehousing, storage, distribution piece out of the back of the site, and, access 161 similarly to other users in this area. Retrofitting the existing building doesn't really work for that warehousing component because the building abuts up to the the back of the site where there is, I think mentioned there was some elevation change, but really what we're proposing is to add this flex warehousing piece for, variety of user groups at this location. And this is a thing we're seeing more often. I mean, if you look at your agenda, you'll see other cases similar to this one, where a lot of businesses are wanting this storage warehousing component for their particular type of business. Now, and this also is to say, there will still be an office component to this this redevelopment. It's still going to have workers at the site, still have the surface parking, not as much surface parking as there was with the previous or the existing office use, but it's still an active use for the site in particular. And looking at the potential future land use surrounding zoning that's also similar to our use, we feel like this is a suitable use of the property, and I'm happy to answer any questions for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? Then I'll return it to the commissioners for discussion and a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 2025-45-CP.
To recommend approval?
For approval, yes.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. Okay, and the motion passes 6-1. And then the companion case is zoning case 2025-15-ZC, again located at 1660 Northwest Ridge Circle. And, sir, I take it you used up your time already? You gave your presentation? Great. Anybody who else would like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission.
Seeing no further discussion from anyone, I'll make a motion to approve case 2025-15-CZ for approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 6-1. All right, item number 15, Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2025-20-CP, located at 1301 Ronnie Drive. Is the applicant present? And this is again one where there's two parts to it. Do you want to be able to speak about the entire thing all at once? Yes, please. Okay, great. Thank you. Is the microphone off all of a sudden?
There should be a button for you to click right under the microphone, where the microphone ends, actually. Okay.
There we go.
Here. Okay. Good evening again. So I'm here today to speak on behalf of Mr. Jose Andrade, to translate for him. And yes, we would like to speak on both cases at once,
Great,
please.
thank you.
So he is proposing to build 3 townhomes in one lot in a RCLA
Did
house.
you, I may have missed it. Did you say your name and address first?
I did not. I'm
Okay.
sorry. So yeah, my name is Cristia Herrera, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Mr. Jose Andrade, to translate for him. And our address is going to be 2606 Syracuse Drive in Irving, Texas, 75062.
Great, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Like I was saying, we want to build 3 townhomes in one lot in RCLA house in the other lot. I believe he has a picture of the site plan.
Is that? I don't think that's, yeah, there we go. Can you turn it around the other way? Or one more?
One more.
Oh, you want it one more? Okay, one more.
Yep. Keep going. Yep.
So this is the plan that he has. He's planning on building 3 townhomes right here with the driveways facing this front of the street. And then on this area right here, that's where he plans on building the house. It's gonna be a small house, and he's planning on having the entrance of the driveway in this area right here if it's allowed by the city, or if it's not allowed, he can do it in the backside where you see the city of Irving Road. In this area right here, they have already built some other townhomes, and over here in this other area, there is a residential already that also has access from the city of Irving Road. Do you guys have any questions for him?
Okay. Did any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? No? It looks like no. Thank you very much. All right, anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commissioners for discussion and a motion.
Well, I would like to, it struck me that the proposed uses were not compatible with what is there, particularly the zero. I'm not sure, is that may be part of this other case, but it's related to changing the use from local commercial to compact neighborhood. And so for that reason, I'm not in support of this application.
If no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion. On zoning case 2025-18.
Comprehensive plan.
Sorry.
No,
Am I in
we're on the
wrong one?
comprehensive plan amendment
Oh,
first.
God, I'm in the other one. Yeah, sorry, on the comprehensive plan amendment, 2025-20-ZP, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 5-2. All right. Then the second part of it is zoning case 2025-18-ZC, again located at 1301 Ronnie Drive. Did you have anything further you wanted to say about it? No? Okay. All right. Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item or in opposition to this item? Nope. Then I'll return it to the commission for any further discussion and a motion.
If no further comment, I'd like to make a motion on zoning case 2025-18-ZZ for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 5-2. Now, that means it goes to the city council with a recommendation of approval, but the city council still is ultimately the final decision. So you'll want to go to the city council meeting where they're considering it as well. So we're not the final word on this, but it will go with a recommendation of approval. All right. Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2025-25-CP, located at 4401 North State Highway 161. Is the applicant present?
Yes, my name is Scott Ellerman, located at 2021 McKinney Avenue, Suite 300, Dallas, Texas. I believe we have a presentation, if I can control it. This is the right way. We have another one, if there's.
Yeah, the best warehouse I've ever seen.
Okay, well, I'll start by saying thank you to the Irving Planning Commission, Irving Planning and Zoning Commission. Again, it's an honor to be up here presenting tonight. My name, as I mentioned, is Scott Ellerman, representing the partnership between Constellation Real Estate Partners and the Calvary Church. This is the partnership's second planning and zoning meeting this year for this case in particular, where we received recommendation for approval by both staff and P&Z in our last meeting. Just to preface, we are back here because there was confusion surrounding our case with the city council in January, and we intend to clear that confusion tonight and going forward. Quick overview of the location. The site is approximately a 24-acre property located at 4401 North State Highway 161 in Irving, Texas, in the home of the Calvary Church, one of the city of Irving's largest and most respected churches for almost 75 years. As we mentioned in our prior P&Z meeting, this transaction is critical for the Calvary Church to continue operating and serving within the community. The property is located in an area that largely consists of commercial properties of all types. The site is primarily surrounded by the DFW airport. Here's an overview of the site with respect to surrounding commercial properties. With regards to surrounding neighbors, it is surrounded by the DFW airport to the west, as well as the north and northwest, the Baptist Temple to the south, and several commercial properties. Baptist Temple to the north, several commercial properties to the south. The Baptist Temple in particular on the north side neighbor has communicated their support through several meetings we've had with them individually. The intended use for this property is a data center. The zoning request meets all requirements of the city's ordinances, including the 161 overlay. The main purpose of this zoning case is to secure the ability to build a data center. To do so requires a rezoning requested that the future land use map change. The base zoning requested provides the ability to have viable development on the property. While we are committed to building the data center, prudent business management requires that we provide for any eventuality. The zoning requested could allow, in necessary circumstance, a warehouse office center with screening and building design to control exposure and effect, which ensures quality and productive development of the property. The data center will be designed to be an asset to its surroundings. Noise is minimal and is screened and buffered. The entire property is designed to be secured. Traffic would not be an issue as the new development would take the place of a church that has large contingents of vehicles several times per week. The property is near Encore substation clusters, and Encore has been properly contacted in order to develop the customary arrangement to receive sufficient power. Encore is a process for its applicants, and we are within that process currently. We've had no negative indications at this time and hope to have our process complete within 12 months, which would be in line with our development process. Finally, I'd conclude with Governor Abbott has expressed the desire to have Texas be the central location for data centers in the United States. DFW and Irving in particular is the prime location for such development. Irving is an ideal situation with its outstanding transportation access, proximity to the DFW airport, and the site also has access to a very strong fiber network and transmission lines along the western and northern boundary of the site, which would be critical to powering and operating a data center. With that, I will open it to questions from the commission.
I have a question. So you mentioned there was some confusion with the city council. Can you elaborate on that? What you're clarifying here today?
Yeah, I guess there was, it was more presented as ambiguity with regards to our strategy when the preferred and hopeful outcome intention is to develop a data center. And I guess with the note about the zoning allowing for light industrial and warehousing is a backfall strategy in the event that power is not available to develop such data center. But overall, the intent and development strategy is to develop a data center if feasible.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So is the plan still to demolish the existing church and to market the property as a build-to-suit?
That's correct.
Now, are you also looking into other areas outside DFW? I don't know, North Texas, like Decatur, really up north, or other areas?
For prospective data center developments, absolutely.
Okay. Is there any reason in particular why Irving or other might be more attractive than any other cities?
The desirability of these types of developments is purely driven by access to power. And given that the site has transmission lines that operate and power the DFW airport along the western and northern boundary lines, provides a unique situation for this site in particular to get access to that power and the high power transmission line. And with regards to more peripheral sites, as you mentioned, Decatur as an example, that absolutely is feasible so long as the fiber infrastructure and power availability would ultimately be there.
And is it?
And is it, are you asking? We're still in the process with Encore of figuring that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
If there's no further discussion, I'd like to move Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2025-25-CP to City Council for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 4-3. All right, and then zoning case 2025-19-ZC, again located at 4401 North State Highway 161. Did you have anything further you wanted to add? No? Okay. All right, anybody else who'd like to speak in favor or in opposition to this item? No, then I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
If there's no other comments by the commission, I'd like to move zoning case 2025-19ZC to City Council for approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 4-3. All right, item number 19, zoning case 2025-26-ZC, located at 300 North Loop 12. Is the applicant present? Sir? Your name and address? Oh, I think it's turned off again. Try.
Don't have to hold it down.
No?
Bill Greenwood, Director of Development for Edge Data Centers. Our Dallas address is the 300 North Loop 12.
Okay. And did you have anything further you wanted to ask, or just answer questions? Or?
We have a quick presentation about us, and then I'm hoping I can address some of the questions that were asked earlier today. So, quick project overview.
Can you speak directly into the microphone?
Sorry, guys. So Edged, we are trying to be forward-thinking with regards to sustainability and environment. And through those designs, we have a very high electrical efficiency usage compared to our competitors in the industry. One of those is the low or zero water, which was asked about earlier. With this Irving campus, we will use a zero water per year design. That is through our sister company, ThermalWorks, who designs chillers that are a closed loop system, whereas our competitors use evaporative cooling, which obviously use a lot of the municipality water. This is our site, which shows the existing DFW1 data center, which is operational. It also shows the substation to the south, where we have spoken to Encore about our power, which is secured for not only the existing building, but also our future building. These are just some conceptual renderings. We obviously will try to match the existing building as best as we can to show a solid square footprint. The fencing will mirror the existing fencing that is on the site. And then just, we're building data centers. They're going to be here longer than I am. We are going to be in Irving for a long time. We're happy to be in Irving as we are now. And we like the partnership that we have here. Questions?
Right.
I think
Any
I got the
questions for the
ones that were
applicant?
asked.
No questions? Commissioner Merrick, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a question about the setbacks and why you're asking for the setback in the front yard.
I might have to ask the guys behind me who are the civil design engineers on that one. But I believe it's a, help me out, Sean. Sorry.
And also the variance for the fence.
Yes. Sean Alexander, 13455 Noel Road, Dallas, Texas. We're asking for the variance on the setbacks to allow for security fencing within the setbacks. Right now, the site it gets a lot more narrow towards the north, so you have a lot less space to work with. This allows us to push some fire lane into the setback, which is allowed, and then also move that fencing into the setback as well to make more space for the building.
That's why you're changing the fence.
Oh, your mic's off.
The fence height as well?
The fence height is for security fencing, so it's the same location and the height of the fence. It's the same fence.
It'd be the same as the fencing that's over on the east side of
Correct.
the current data center?
Yep.
Have you had any security issues?
Say that again?
Have you had any security issues?
Okay.
To date, no, we haven't, but that fencing that you see, it's an Ameristar fence. It's pretty standard in the industry for security, and that's kind of the go-to product.
I just have a question about the current usage. So has the, I guess is a truck service station that's being replaced?
The truck stop.
Yeah, the truck stop. Has that been operated by the same company, or was it leased to someone else, or how?
No,
is
that's
that-
as a single owner who's looking to retire. He's still in operation right now. When we close, he will have a closing period to ramp his business down.
I see. Okay. So there'll be some transition period to
Yes, sir.
take that out
Yep.
and replace it.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? And I'll return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
I'd just like to make one comment. I feel like we get a lot of data center requests. I particularly like this because I think the quality of the building is beautiful, and I think Loop 12 could use some beautification. So for that reason, I'm supportive of the project.
Yeah, well, and I'd like to make a comment too. The presentation was very good. Thank you. I guess I do have a concern with what seems to be quite a few data center applications. I think it's part of the reason that the city council has the standards and regulations have evolved over time. So I mean, the only reason I would be inclined to not support the application is just to give the city council a chance to evaluate it on its own, because I'm not sure what standards it's now applying. And, I didn't hear any opposition with regard to losing the fueling station, but that seems like a pretty significant business that's currently operating there. Now, obviously it's up to the owner how he wants to operate his property, but that seems like a significant impact. So I defer to the city council on this, but it's hard for me to support it given the evolution of the standards.
I have a question. Did I understand that y'all are buying the truck stop? You said when he closes, he's going to,
That's correct.
so that's part of your deal?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion?
So, yeah, this is just a comment as well. I mean, I'm not against data centers, but I mean, I would like for us to also get, I think we're going to get more applications for data centers. Maybe every meeting we may have one, I don't know. But I'd like to get more information from either Encore, I don't know, whoever it is, who can tell us about the ramifications of data centers and how they can affect energy down the future. And how can it affect the city? Because we're going to be making decisions that, yes, right now it's probably okay, but as they keep coming and we might approve them, or I don't know what may happen, we don't know the long-term effect, or I don't know who knows actually even that answer, if anybody knows that.
Any further discussion, or do we have a motion?
I just have a question for Jocelyn.
Oh, do you want to put your microphone on?
I just have a question for Jocelyn. So if this was approved, it would be approved under the old ordinance and not the new one?
So the standards, the section 3.20 will apply, but they had their application in before the conditional use permit was effective. So that's why they are being considered as a site plan case.
If there's no further discussion from the commissioners, I'd like to move zoning case 2025-26-ZC for approval to city council.
I'll say.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Please vote. And the motion passes 5-2. All right. On to zoning case 2025-27-ZC, located at 7600 North MacArthur Boulevard, Suite 110. Is the applicant present? Sir? Can you try to speak directly into the microphone, or I'm afraid it may have been, or it may have been turned off, I'm not sure.
That's good now?
Much
Yes,
better.
sir. Yeah, I'm Parm Singh, 7600 North MacArthur Boulevard, Irving, Texas. And then I'm just trying to get the CC to, to SP1 RAB, and I can answer any questions.
Great. Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? It doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this item? Anybody in opposition? No? Then I'll return it to the commission for any discussion and a motion.
If no further discussion, I'd like to make a motion on zoning case -2025-27-ZZ for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Now, sir, it does go to council now, so you'll still want to go to the city council meeting, as I mentioned to somebody else earlier. Okay. All right. And then on to our last item. You have down that he's leaving? Zoning case 2025-29-ZC and multifamily concept plan 2025-30-MFCP, located at 6201 Colwell Boulevard. Is the applicant present?
Yes. Microphone working okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. I'm Taylor Bowen. I'm with Amley Residential 5057, Keller Springs, Addison, Texas, and my colleague Madeline Mills is with us here this evening as well. I want to give you a brief presentation on our development, and bear with me. I want to make sure that there we go. Thank you. Let me start and give you guys really 4 key reasons and how we got involved with this really great opportunity. As you can see on the map at the top, Amley has had ownership of high-quality institutional multifamily housing here in Irving for a long time. And I developed with several of the staff members that are currently with us, Amley Ascena and Amley Riverside. And when we saw this opportunity occur from AT&T, which is selling the 14-acre dormitory site, which, as you all know, is vacant, we thought this would be a wonderful, wonderful chance for us to try and acquire the site and not just fix up the old units that are there, but actually demolish the community and rebuild with a beautiful 406-unit community with full amenities, LEED certified. This is consistent with your comprehensive plan. We need more high-quality housing like this to support the businesses and the employment, especially in this node of Las Colinas. This is going to add over $100 million of additional tax base versus what is currently there today when we're complete with this development. It's going to replace the obsolete old buildings, as you could tell, and if you've all driven by there recently, AT&T's doing its damnedest to try and keep it looking okay, but the reality is it can no longer exist in its current condition, and it needs to be redeveloped. And as you know from the prior zoning case that unfortunately was turned down at council, it's not getting any better out there. And then lastly, we think that we are very good operators. We have a proven track record in this community. I love Irving. I love Las Colinas. This is where I started my career 20-some years ago, developing at La Vida. And you can see proofs in the pudding about how we perform and operate our communities. Let me start with the site plan. We're about 400 yards away from the other two to the north. We want this to be a cohesive, kind of walkable community to the existing AT&T office facility, which will remain. We purposely program 4-story buildings here. We want to have elevator service. We want to support to a wide range of residents, unit size ranging from 700 square feet all the way up to townhomes that could be up to 1,800 square feet. We took staff's advice and put those along Coldwell. We think the mixture of units here is going to be very important. Not only do we have the full assortment of amenities that you would typically see at our other AMLI communities, we're also planning on building a 4,000-foot community center. As you can see, they're labeled number 7. We've worked extensively with staff and EMS, and you can see that we've added another fire lane at the far south end of the property to accommodate them. There's 2 entrances, one at the Coldwell median break, there by number 11. And I also want to comment that the entrance coming into AT&T that exists there today, that we want to greatly enhance that, and we want to enhance the Coldwell drive-by experience. We obviously have AT&T's full support, and you can see what it looks like. Those are our elevations. We're obviously going to build high quality. You know what our product looks like, and this is going to be commensurate with that. You can see our experience in not just Las Colinas, but also in DFW. Our demographics are sound. Now let me tell you a little bit about some of the other amenities that are going to be important. We are going to also focus and have a strong commitment to providing LEED certification. Matter of fact, AMLI Asina was one of the first LEED certified communities in Irving when we finished that project in 2010. We're going to continue that tradition here. Unit finishes will be as nice as you see in any for sale product. 9 and 10 foot ceilings, granite tops, Energy Star appliances. And then in keeping with our environmental strategy, hopefully you've all seen what we did at AMLI Campion along Riverside there. That was a big improvement to improve the levee area with the natural vegetation, having the parking bioswales and the native plants. We're going to continue that with the AT&T site. AMLI Campion Trail in the urban center is one of the few properties in Dallas that has solar for multifamily. We hope to do something similar. And we've been very engaged with the neighborhood. We've been a member of the Las Colinas Association and been active with them for many, many years. And then I want to address, back on the site plan, a couple of questions that came up from the work session. One was regarding density. We're at 29 units to the acre. To put that in perspective, some of the recent developments, Peregrine and Rosewood's development, were in the 50s. Our urban center property would be about 55 units to the acre, but the properties to the north are the same. Asina's at 28 and AMLI Riverside's at 34 units to the acre. So our density here will be very, very similar, and there's not going to be obviously much impact on traffic or other infrastructure because there's already existing units out there today. We're just increasing. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions that you may have.
Any questions for the applicant?
What was the total count of units? Wasn't it 400 and something?
406.
And what's the number of units at the other, Amley at Riverside?
Yeah, Amley at Riverside is 336, and Amley Ascena is 440.
Could you go back to that slide? I think you had a slide showing the units. I think it was like the third one. Yeah, that one, no. Yes, this one.
Okay. This is our Amley portfolio within the Dallas, the DFW market.
Mr. Bowen, are the townhouses for rent?
They are.
Who's flipping the slides?
I think he is.
Can you go back to the other slide? Just stay there.
Okay.
So on the one on Riverside and the ones in Las Colinas, how many units per acre did you mention again?
So our Amley Riverside is 34 dwelling units to the acre, Amley Riverside. And then Amley Ascena is 28 units to the acre. And this site we're proposing is 29 units to the acre.
Have you all had any parking issues?
No. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that your parking ratio, where well codified, is probably towards the upper end of what I see in other communities. We're going to park about 695 cars on this site to meet the Irving requirements. And no, we do not. We have not had parking issues at our other communities.
And there are no, with the townhouses, are there any garages
Yes, there's those will have two attached garages underneath.
to each one of the townhouses?
Correct. And I'm sorry, I overlooked too. I think there was a question on work session. We'll also have detached garages and carports along the site.
How wide will your fire lanes be?
They are 20, they're normally 24, but I think they're 26 in Irving, 26.
So this will be similar to your Amley Ascenas?
Correct.
Be how they have their detached garages?
Correct.
Okay.
What's your occupancy rate on those two?
Both of those were we were typically in the, call it the 93 to 95% range is where we historically are.
And what's about the lease range per square foot that y'all?
Right. So here's kind of the breakdown to give you some rent profile. Amley Ascena today, on average, is about $1,750 a month. Amley Riverside is about $1,950 a month. And the AT&T site, we'll think will be in the low 2,000s, maybe $2,200 a month. And that'll be justified given the fact that this is going to be about, 10-year newer product, age product, and have the enclosed corridors and the elevator service.
I'm assuming you're saying for a one-bedroom?
No, that would be a blend throughout the entire community. The rent will range for about 700 square feet to 1,800 square feet. Our rents will range from about 1,500 all the way up to about 3,000 plus for the townhome product, which is going to be big. That's going to be almost 2,000 square feet.
Is there any, on your other two communities, is there any Section 8 housing?
No.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor or in opposition to this item? No? Then I will return it to the commission for discussion and a motion.
Mr. Bowen, I want to thank you for bringing this project too, because it certainly looks a lot better than what's there now. And unless there's some other comments from my fellow commissioners, I'd like to make a motion for zoning case 2025-29ZC a multifamily concept plan 202530 MFCP be forwarded to City Council with a recommendation for approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second recommending approval. Please vote. It's all one item, yeah. Okay, it looks like there's a problem with the computer system, so it'll need to be a hand vote. So, on the motion and second, the motion recommending approval, all in favor, please raise your hand. All right. And well, that looks unanimous. Was there anybody opposed? No, nobody opposed, so it passes unanimously. Of course, Commissioner Denny is abstained, so with one abstention. All right. That's a proper vote. Okay, thank you very much. That was our last item. The meeting is adjourned at 8:28 p.m.